Hey there, fellow F1 fanatics! Big news in the Formula One world. Nick DeVries has been shown the exit door at the AlphaTauri Formula One team, making way for the sensational Daniel Ricciardo to step in. This surprising switcheroo has got everyone talking, and in today's video, we're diving deep into the details to uncover the motives behind Red Bull's master plan. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. DeVries' departure was a rather quiet affair, with both Red Bull and AlphaTauri making no mention of him in their official statements. However, AlphaTauri team principal Franz Tost did acknowledge his contributions, while expressing his delight at welcoming back the immensely talented Daniel Ricciardo. Nick DeVries was announced at the end of 2022 as Yuki Tsunoda's new teammate at AlphaTauri. He was brought in as the replacement for Pierre Gasly, who made the switch to Alpine for 2023. However, after a few disappointing performances, the pressure on the Dutchman's position increased. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko wanted to see DeVries improve his performance, and he was given a few races to do so. However, his performances were not enough to convince Marko and his colleagues, because 2 days after the British Grand Prix, AlphaTauri confirms that DeVries is no longer in the car during the Hungarian GP. DeVries' replacement already had AlphaTauri ready, because when DeVries' departure was announced, it was also announced that Daniel Ricciardo would take over his place. The 33-year-old Australian thus returns to the F1 grid after only 6 months of absence. At the end of 2022, he was forced to leave McLaren, which terminated his ongoing contract early in good consultation. Ricciardo played for the British team for 2 years, after having driven for Renault for 2 seasons. The driver from Perth joined that team after an adventure of 5 seasons at Red Bull Racing. He drove there between 2014 and 2018, the last 3 seasons of which as a teammate of Max Verstappen. The former Red Bull Jr. kicked off his F1 career at HRT in mid-2011, before moving on to Toro Rosso in 2012 and 2013. It is therefore also a return to the old nest for Ricciardo. Ricciardo's return to the team has sent shockwaves through the paddock. With 8 Formula One Grand Prix victories under his belt, his experience and skill set are invaluable assets for AlphaTauri. Tost believes his integration will be seamless, considering he already knows many team members. It's clear that Red Bull is playing the long game, and Ricciardo's loan to AlphaTauri is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. DeVries' departure comes after just 10 races into the season. The 28-year-old was drafted into the Red Bull fold for the 2023 campaign following an impressive stand-in drive at Monza in 2022, where he finished 9th. However, despite being a champion in Formula E and Formula 2, DeVries struggled to leave a mark in his first full season in F1. His best result so far was a 12th place finish at the Monaco GP, and he has been consistently outperformed by his teammate Yuki Tsunoda in qualifying. The uncertainty surrounding DeVries' position had been a cause for concern for some time. AlphaTauri's team principal Tost hinted last week that the Dutchman's destiny would be decided by his performances. With the highly touted young talent Liam Lawson waiting in the wings, many believed he would be the natural choice to replace DeVries. Lawson has been impressing in the Japanese Super Formula Series and has previously excelled in Formula 2. But Red Bull had a different plan in mind. After Ricciardo's impressive outing during a tire test at Silverstone, where he showcased his blistering pace in the RB19, the team made the surprise announcement of his loan transfer to AlphaTauri. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner couldn't contain his excitement, praising Ricciardo's competitiveness during the test and expressing anticipation for what lies ahead in the season for the Australian star. Ricciardo's best time during the Pirelli tire test on harder compounds, which don't require tire blankets, was a 1:27.415. It's important to note that these times were set under different conditions and on different tires compared to Max Verstappen's pole position time. Nonetheless, both Red Bull and AlphaTauri echoed Ricciardo's enthusiasm for reuniting with the Red Bull family, and the stage is set for his triumphant return. DeVries was initially brought in by Red Bull to partner with Yuki Tsunoda at AlphaTauri this season, replacing Pierre Gasly. But here's the kicker. It wasn't the team's first choice. IndyCar race winner Colton Herta was deemed ineligible for an F1 super license, so DeVries emerged as a contender after his impressive point-scoring debut at the Italian Grand Prix as a last-minute replacement for Alex Albon. Vries showcased his talent during that race, proving that he had what it takes to compete in Formula One. However, making such an important decision based on a single race seems absurd and raises questions about Red Bull's decision-making process. It's evident that there are cracks in their strategy, and dismissing DeVries just a few months into the season is a peculiar move. Some argue that Red Bull had nothing to gain by keeping DeVries until the end of the year, only to replace him with potentially the same driver. But the lack of meaningful opportunities to turn the tide left Red Bull feeling defensive. One has to wonder if Red Bull and Helmut Marko, the head of their driver development program, anticipated just how much DeVries would struggle as a rookie. Franz Tost, the team principal at AlphaTauri, believes that drivers need several years to fully adjust to the demands of Formula One. It's clear that the decision to let DeVries go might not align with Tost's desires, hinting at potential interference within the team's decision-making process. This situation once again highlights the lack of standout performers from Red Bull's young driver program in recent years. It raises serious concerns about their driver pipeline, and not having viable alternatives is a severe issue, not just for Red Bull but potentially for the entire grid. Are there even enough capable drivers available at the moment? But let's dive into the crux of the matter: Daniel Ricciardo's return and what it means for Red Bull's driver lineup. It appears that his return to Formula One with AlphaTauri is merely a stepping stone to a potential return to Red Bull racing. And in any discussion about Red Bull's driver choices, we must consider Sergio Perez. As it stands, Ricciardo's move to AlphaTauri seems to be a calculated move with a greater reward in mind. Given Perez's current struggles and Ricciardo's impressive performance during a recent tire test, the timing couldn't be worse for Perez. He's been struggling to qualify in the top positions, while his teammate Max Verstappen continues to excel in the same car. Red Bull's dissatisfaction with Perez's underperformance has become evident. Previously, they had been more forgiving of his mistakes, but their patience seems to be wearing thin. However, Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, has made it clear that Perez is under contract for next season and won't be replaced. Perez himself remains confident, stating that he has the full support of the team and that they know his potential. But the reality is that Perez, despite having the best car by a considerable margin, is only second in the championship with just one podium finish in the last 5 races. Ricciardo, on the other hand, views his current struggles as a potential opportunity to regain a Red Bull racing seat. Securing a seat with Red Bull Racing is Ricciardo's ultimate goal, whether it happens next year or in the coming years. His performance against Tsunoda at AlphaTauri will be crucial in demonstrating that he's still a force to be reckoned with. It won't be an easy task, but if he can outperform his teammate and showcase his skills, it could pave the way for a return to the top-tier team. AlphaTauri, despite not being Ricciardo's first choice at the start of the season, may not be such a terrible long-term option. With incoming CEO Peter Bayer and team principal Laurent Mikis set to bring about a restructuring of the team, including upgrades and car design changes for next year, AlphaTauri's future looks intriguing. In the midst of all this, Liam Lawson, a promising young talent, has been overlooked twice for a seat within the Red Bull organization. Whether Red Bull wants to see through his Super Formula title campaign or believes that Ricciardo needs further evaluation, it showcases a lack of confidence in their junior program. With 12 races left in the season, Perez needs to step up to prevent Ricciardo from stealing the limelight. Ricciardo, on the other hand, needs to prove his worth and show that he can play second fiddle at Red Bull Racing without causing any disruption. The battle for Red Bull's second seat is intensifying, and the outcome will have implications not only for the team, but also for the entire grid. What are your thoughts on this driver switch? Do you think it was the right move for AlphaTauri during the season? Let us know in the comments below.